Sup, guys? This is Toad back with you for Better Off Dead Friday, May 30th. Yesterday, 1-1 on the show for somewhat of a loss. We got the win on the over in the first game in Philadelphia and Atlanta Braves, so that was a winner. And the loser was the Dallas Stars. I don't know what to even say about that, man. Ottinger, awful start to the game again. I think he gave up 3 goals in the first 5 or 6 shots. What can you even do about that? And then the coach actually decided to pull him, which I think was actually probably a mistake because Dallas's offense got going in the game and they actually wound up cutting the 3-0 deficit to 3-2. And then they cut a 4-2 deficit to 4-3 early in the third period. So Dallas still had chances to win that game. I guess DeSmith did play well when they put him in there, so maybe Ottinger would have been worse. I don't know. Both goalies are actually not bad. So I don't know. I just think that if you remove your goalie, though, it's going to really kind of hurt his confidence. So I don't love that, although, of course, they weren't going to put Ottinger back in until, if they pushed it to another game, they would have had to decide whether or not to use him again. And then at that point, I think his confidence might be shaken, but we won't even get to that. I don't really want to congratulate the Oilers, but the Oilers won. So we have a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Finals. Oilers-Panthers will be it again. I have the Panthers winning it in my bracket over the Avalanche, so take from that what you will. And then as far as that baseball play yesterday, the over, the game was tied 4-4, in the late innings. So at that point, you know that it's done. It's guaranteed to go over at that point because one team has to score at least one more run to win the game. So it's over at that point. It was a little bit dicey earlier in the game, but part of the handicap was that, if the bullpens get involved in this game, they're probably going to give up some runs, especially Philadelphia's bullpen. So that was kind of part of the handicap there. The game was 3-0. I don't even remember which team was winning, though. It was 3-0 into the 5th inning or something, but whatever. It happened. We got it. Let's talk about today's slate here, man. I will talk about the WNBA. 5 WNBA games, but I'm actually not going to recommend to play on any of these, even though you'd think with the WNBA being kind of a small league and having this many games, you'd think I would find something. I'll give you what my best lean is, but I don't love the card. The Liberty at Washington. Liberty down from 8.5 to 8 as far as the line there as a road favorite there. Now, it does look like it could be a decent spot for the Liberty to bounce back because they played pretty poorly last night. I told you that I thought the zigzag was probably the way to look in that game, even though I did not recommend it as a play. My lean was taking the points with Golden State in that game last night in the zigzag after Golden State got wrecked by the Liberty the game before that. Liberty, indeed, didn't really take them seriously, I don't think, the next time, and the game was close for pretty much the whole game. Liberty won. They are the way better team, so they got away with the win, but after a game like that, could be a spot where the Liberty are going to be a little bit more focused after they almost lost to a bad team. Getting to go out on the road, that's usually a good thing. Washington, they are coming off a tough game against Indiana, where they beat Indiana, which I believe was Indiana's first game without Caitlin Clark. So keep that in mind, that it was not a complete Indiana team here. But still, you beat the Indiana Fever. That's a pretty big win for Washington. The Fever are one of the better teams in the league. So big win for Washington. So they could be in a letdown spot, just kind of sitting at home. Liberty could be in a bit of a bounce back spot. Really the only hesitation I would have, I do lean to the Liberty, but the only hesitation I would have is they're on a back-to-back. They just played last night, so they have no rest. So that's a little bit of a disadvantage, so I will stay away. The line looks like it's moved against the Liberty a little bit. So staying away from that. Connecticut, the hapless Connecticut Sun at this point, they're easily the worst team in the league. Traveling to Indiana, I think Connecticut doesn't have a win yet. Indiana, even without Caitlin Clark, they're a 12.5-point favorite here, up from 12. What do you do with a game like that? It seems like the number is too high, and usually in a second game without your star player, usually you see the team take a little bit of a step back, but then again, Indiana didn't play well the first game without Caitlin Clark, where I thought they were going to step it up a little bit, and they lost to Washington, so maybe they will be a little bit more angry and come out with a little bit more fire here and actually take a game seriously because they've lost 3 of their last 4 games now. So they might actually show up and actually be focused, in which case they should win the game against a terrible Connecticut team. Connecticut coming off getting trounced by Dallas, who are one of the other worst teams in the league until further notice, until they get some chemistry, and maybe they'll be a little bit better. But that is a pretty atrocious loss for Connecticut there. At home, no less. I mean, they were the underdog at home. That's how bad they are. But they lost by 22 points to that newly formed Wings team there. So take from all that what you will. It could be a little bit of a bounce back spot, kind of for both teams there in a way. So I would, I'm not going to do anything with that game either. I went in reverse order there, but that was the Indiana game. I talked about the Liberty game first because I was looking at the looking at the board here, the betting board. Atlanta at Seattle. Seattle, actually a pretty good team, as the odds makers are telling you. They're actually up from 4-5 at home here against Atlanta, who's not a bad team right now. Atlanta, they went out and they got Brittany Griner, and they got, I think they got one of the best players from Connecticut from one of the previous years. So, and of course, Brittany Griner, probably a man. So, Atlanta, they have some advantages with this new roster that they have here. They've been playing pretty well. They've won 3 games in a row. They just won on the road as a small underdog against the LA Sparks. They are playing a second straight road game now, coming off a somewhat decent win. Going to play the Storm, though, I mean, they're probably going to be focused. I think both teams are going to be focused. I mean, this is a game between two good teams. Atlanta playing a couple road games in a row, not exactly the greatest spot, I guess, but probably they will be focused for playing a good team like the Storm. The Storm probably also going to be focused for a game like this against a good Atlanta team. Seattle coming off that game against Minnesota, where I should have gotten my play right that I gave out on the show. I'm 4-2 now in the NBA. I gave out Minnesota in this game. Look at this. Minnesota was winning the game by double digits for more than half the game, and they had the lead almost the entire game. I think actually they never trailed in the entire game, I'm pretty sure. So, and yet they won and didn't cover. Isn't that just great? Even though they were covering for more than half of the game. That's just great. So Seattle is coming off that loss. They could bounce back here, but that is also a tough loss for Seattle. And they are returning home from, well, not really a road trip. It was only a single road game, but it is still a return home spot there. So I don't really love laying the points with Seattle in this game either. So that's also a stay away. I think it's a big game for both teams, man. And both teams are probably better this year than they were last year. So we'll see what happens there. The lean that I would give out in the WNBA, which I think is probably the strongest lean that would be closest to a play for me, is laying the points with the Las Vegas Aces. They're up from 9-10 here. I think they have some extra rest here too, and they're coming off a real ugly showing against Seattle, though, as I just said, Seattle is pretty good. Vegas hasn't beaten any good teams yet, which is a little bit of a concern, as they lost to the Liberty in a revenge spot because the Liberty eliminated the Aces from the playoffs last year. And then they lost badly to the Seattle Storm, although granted, both those games are on the road. So the Aces are 1-0 at home, although they almost lost that home game to their home opener against the Mystics. So not a good showing from them there, but Vegas is still a good team, man. I mean, they're lined. The line tells you how good they really are. So Vegas sitting at 2-2. Their schedule so far, I mean, what they've done so far does not look very good at all. So people might actually come in and perceive that there might be some value in the LA Sparks in this one, even though they are 2-4. They're not a good team, but Vegas just doesn't look that great so far. But the odds makers are telling you they are the significantly better team here. LA is coming off a pretty tough home loss to the Dream, who, as I just said, are a pretty good team. Atlanta there, though. Vegas with more time off as well, just waiting basically at home after the last home game they played was that ugly home opener against the Mystics, too. So you got to think Vegas, they're finally going to show up for a game and play better. So I would lay the points with them. They're up from 9-10 with juice, though, so that thing is moving up and up. I thought it was 9.5. I think it was a little while ago, so do with that what you will. What's up, David? Happy Friday to you. Yeah, let's get some wins. Thank you, sir. Andrew, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, hopefully we get some wins. All the plays I'm going to give out are in Major League Baseball, and there are some significant situations in baseball, and I hate the pitching matchup in like almost all of them. So I hate baseball cards like this. It's really, really tough. to figure it out, although I am going to give out 4 baseball plays anyway, though, and they're all in kind of the later games. One other thing I will point out, by the way, about that Minnesota game that I lost against Seattle is it was a reverse injured player spot because Kayla McBride, I think is her name, came back from Minnesota in that game. She's one of their starters. She's one of their best players. She was one of the best players last year, too. So that was like kind of a big chemistry thing where you have that big player like come back into the lineup. A lot of times it could jar the chemistry. Although I really don't think it did in that case. I think Minnesota still should have won and covered that game. So there was a reverse injured player spot going on there. That was one thing that might have you hesitate a little bit on playing Minnesota there, but I still gave out the play. Thought it was still the right way to go, but it was not. Well, I think it was. I think it was a right side loser, to be honest. I think it still was the right play, and they should have probably covered that. Minnesota, speaking of them, they're at Phoenix here. They're up from 3.5 to 4 with juice. So the odds maker's telling you kind of what you need to know here, which is that Minnesota is significantly better than Phoenix, such that they're laying points on the road. Minnesota is undefeated so far, although that does mean that if you're Phoenix, you're going to step up your game here, man. I mean, Phoenix is 1 game behind them. You got an undefeated team coming into your house. You know you're going to step up your game a little bit. Minnesota is coming off that game where they looked worse than they actually were, though, again, like I said, against the Storm. And now this is going to be the second game with McBride back. So that second game that you have that key player back, you usually play better because you're starting to get used to having her in the lineup again. So that's a positive for Minnesota. So I don't know what I would even think about this game, to be honest, because Phoenix, probably they're not quite as good as their 4-1 record would indicate. Those odds makers are kind of telling you that. If you look at their wins, they had one just ridiculous blowout win over Seattle that just made no sense. I think there were some injuries going on in the game. Seattle had one of the worst shooting performances you'll ever see. I think Seattle has some new pieces, though, so I think Seattle was kind of adjusting. Although I think Phoenix has some new pieces, too, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know the WNBA anyway, but that game was just kind of an inexplicable loss. And then after that, Phoenix has played pretty well. They lost to the Storm, which was a game I gave out a play on the Storm in that next game because it was a revenge spot after a very misleading result in the first game. So that was correct. Phoenix has only beaten teams that aren't very good, though. They've beaten all losing teams since that win over the Storm, though. Beating LA, Washington, and Chicago, and not beating Chicago and Washington by that much either, or LA, really. So all close wins. So Phoenix is actually not as good as their record would indicate, even though, yes, this is a big game for them. They're probably going to step up their game, but Minnesota is so much better than they are that Minnesota might be able to just easily win this game. So it's a tough call, to be honest. I do think, again, the line is kind of telling you what you need to know, where you have a 5-0 team against a 4-1 team. It looks like it's a game between 2 good teams, but really it isn't. It's a game between a good Minnesota team and kind of a mediocre Phoenix team, I would say. So probably the way to look at that game is still to lean to Minnesota. All right, let's go to MLB. Try to run through this quick here, man. Yesterday was a nice small MLB card, and I picked that one spot and hit it. We got Cincinnati and Chicago as the first game up. These two teams just played not that long ago. It's a divisional rivalry, of course. Chicago just won 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, and they scored 13 and 11 runs in those 2 wins, with the 11-run game being a ridiculous comeback, which I actually gave out Chicago as a play in that game, which, by the way, I will preface all of this again. I'm not actually making these bets right now, trying to conserve some money, so I am just recommending these plays that would be bets if I was actually betting. Cincinnati and Chicago. So the way that I look at this game is I like the over, even though there are some hesitations here a little bit, which is that these two pitchers could potentially pitch well, really, in any given game. And these two teams were both off yesterday, so they're both rested. But their bullpens aren't very good, and both starting pitchers were just seen by the opposing hitters in that previous series. So that means the lineup should have a little bit of an extra advantage because they just saw these two pitchers in the last series that these teams played. Andrew Abbott has been good so far for Cincinnati, 1.77 ERA, 1.16 whip. I don't think he's quite as good as those numbers would suggest, but he is fairly good. But he's not really as good on the road. Actually, he's been really good at home, even though it's not a pitcher-friendly park at all. He's got a 1.05 ERA at home, 3 on the road so far, which still obviously isn't even bad. But He has been easier to hit on the road, and the Cubs have actually done damage against him in 42 career at-bats. Oh, let me zoom in. I apologize. The Cubs have a 333 average and 1,011 OPS off him, 8 walks to only 3 strikeouts, a couple of home runs in there. Swanson really hurts him, 3 for 7 with 2 doubles, a home run, 4 walks. Horner also hits him pretty well, 3 for 7, 2 doubles. So take from all that what you will, some player prop potential in there, hits plus runs plus RBIs if you want to go that way. But Abbott does not do well against the Cubs. Colin Ray, I've been saying that this guy's going to have some regression here, man. And I think it is starting. As this past month, he has only a 21-11 strikeout walk ratio, which isn't good. 4.82 ERA, not good. His ERA is up to 3.28, and his whip is 1.29 on the season, which again tells you he's putting too many men on base. And against Cincinnati, he's not very good. In 86 at-bats, 314 average allowed, 978 OPS. So neither starting pitcher really does well in this matchup. They both were just seen by the opposing hitters. I think Ray is starting to slide, and you got 2 pitchers with good-looking ERAs still, but if you dig deeper into this, I don't think either pitcher is quite as good as their ERA would suggest, and we're looking at a situation where, yeah, I think it's actually kind of a sneaky overplay there, so I do like the over, and actually, let me see, do I want to actually add one more play here on an over? I actually do like this one. I mean, this is the first game I looked at when I went through the card here. I don't know, man. Looking at Action Network, they have like all their signals are on the under in this game, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me other than the fact that there must be wind blowing in. Let me look. Is there wind blowing in here? I look at MLB weather reports as well. Let me just take a look here. Because the weather has huge effects in... let me see. No, not really. It's a 9-mile-an-hour wind blowing from right to left, so it's blowing side to side, so that's really not much of an impact. 72 degrees and looks like partly cloudy, so the weather doesn't look too bad for an over, really, in that game at Wrigley. The wind is not blowing out, but it's not blowing in either. Not a lot of wind, and it looks fairly sunny, so the over... I'm tempted, man. I like the over in that game. That is what I will say. But the market signals are so strong against it that I, according to Action Network at least, that I don't really know if I want to do it. Milwaukee and Philadelphia, I mean, this is the issue with today's slate, man, because you got Philadelphia here. They played 2 games yesterday, and Milwaukee didn't play at all. So it looks like a great spot for Milwaukee, right? Okay, but then you look at the starting pitching matchup, and DL Hall is starting for Milwaukee, and it's like... Do you really want to get involved in a game like that? I don't think I do. DL Hall, 1.71 whip is terrible. 3.86 ERA looks good, but he's putting too many men on base. But he's only made one. I mean, you can't really take anything away from any of these numbers because he's made 1 appearance so far in that series against the Red Sox, and he didn't do well. He walked 2 guys, gave up 2 hits, only struck out 1, and somehow got away with it with only allowing 1 earned run. He was just not good. But then if you look at like kind of his overall statistics, I mean, his numbers are not good in his career. He has an ERA of 4.71, a whip above 1.5. I mean, that's not going to get it done, man. Last year, Milwaukee tried to use him as a starter, or at least kind of an opener guy, and he did not do well. So I really don't think you could trust Hall at all, even though I don't think he's even been seen before by Philly. Let me see. Yeah, Philly has actually never faced Hall before, but I just don't understand how you could do anything with this. And I think DL Hall was one of the pieces in the Corbin Burns trade between Baltimore and Milwaukee. So, yeah, Milwaukee really got a good one with Hall, although they did get more than just him, obviously. But still, I don't trust Hall at all, even though Philly hasn't seen him before. And Taijuan Walker, I was looking at this and thinking, well, he's not that good. His 2.97 ERA looks really good. His 1.3 whip indicates that his ERA should be higher than that. I mean, his whip is not that good. He does walk too many guys. His strikeout rate is not high. His walk rate is actually way too high. 13-6 this month isn't that great, but he's kind of getting away with it. But in his last 3 starts, he only went 5 innings once, and he went 3 innings in each of the other 2, although I think one of those might have been like a start that was cut short because he really didn't go deep, like pitch count-wise into that game, and he was pitching well against Tampa. 7 strikeouts, 1 hit allowed. So I don't know what the deal was with that. I mean, looks like it would have been a start where you would have left him in longer. But, so I don't think Walker is that good. And his name is pretty appropriate because it does walk too many guys. But against Milwaukee, he does actually have good numbers, even though Milwaukee is a pretty good offense. 32 at bats, he's held him to a 219 average and 681 OPS, which is still not really that high. Yelich is 4 for 8 with a home run and a walk off him, but the rest of the guys don't do a whole lot of damage. So Walker doesn't look like it's the worst matchup for him. The line looks like it did drop on Philadelphia down from -145 to -133. But they have the cash coming back in on them at the lower price. 61% of tickets, 94% of the cash. I mean, Philadelphia is going to be public, though, because they have a really good record. But, I mean, it's a spot where I would not play Philadelphia still because they're coming off playing 2 games yesterday while Milwaukee was off. So the situational spot is strongly in favor of Milwaukee, but I just don't love the pitching matchup at all. Neither team has a good bullpen, so there's not really an advantage there, I don't think. If there is, I mean, maybe Philly has a slight advantage, except for the fact that their bullpen's not rested at all, so that kind of negates any advantage that they would have otherwise. So, I mean, the situation is still the way that I would lean in that game and grab Milwaukee as an underdog, but it's a fairly risky play. Baltimore. Hey, Baltimore is actually a huge favorite for once because they're playing the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are coming off beating the Mets, so, I mean, probably not a good spot for the White Sox. It should be a spot where Baltimore should actually get a win. They actually have the better starting pitcher as well. Sean Burke going for the White Sox hasn't been very good. 4.33 ERA, 1.46 whip. I mean, that whip is awful. He's got a 19-19 strikeout walk ratio this month. Somehow only posting a 2.67 ERA, but that's ridiculous because that amount of walks is horrific. He hasn't walked fewer than 3 in any appearance, and in multiple appearances, he didn't even make it 5 innings. He's walking way too many guys, and there's absolutely no way his ERA should be this low. Up against Baltimore, I'm assuming they haven't seen him before, but I don't think it matters really because Burke has not been effective. Like, when you see a pitcher who's actually effective, they can have an advantage over lineups that haven't seen them before, but I don't think that's the case with Burke. Zach Eflin is pitching for Baltimore, and I think he's actually probably their best starting pitcher, to be honest. I mean, their starting rotation is horrific. But Eflin with his 5.40 ERA doesn't look very good, but a 1.17 whip indicates that his ERA should be lower than that. He has actually been pretty good. He hasn't made that many starts so far. 18-5 strikeout walk ratio. Decent ratio. I mean, he's really not walking very many guys at all. He's allowed way too many home runs. I mean, that's the thing. That's what's come back to bite him. In his last 2 starts, he's allowed 7 home runs. So, I mean, that seems kind of fluky to me, to be honest. If he doesn't allow that many home runs, he's actually allowed 9 in the last 3 starts, I think. So, or no, excuse me. I was looking at earned runs. What am I saying? No, he's allowed 9 over the course of the season, 7 in the last 2 starts. But I think some of that is a little bit of luck, man. Even though, yeah, he's getting hit hard in the air. That's not good. But, I mean, that's kind of fluky, allowing that many home runs. Although some of it was because Fenway Park is fairly home run conducive, and that was 3 of the home runs. But even so, I mean, I expect Eflin to do a little bit better here. And against the White Sox, I'm assuming he has good career stats. I did look earlier. 39 at bats. He's held him to a 256 average. 356 would be bad. 256 average, 564 OPS. So yeah, White Sox, weak lineup. Eflin has done pretty well against them in the past. So Eflin should have a pretty significant edge, to be honest, over Burke there. Again, I think Eflin's numbers just are skewed by the amount of home runs that he's allowed so far. He's not a guy that comes in and blows people away. He does tend to be a little bit too hittable, but I think that's just a little extreme. The total is really high, though, expecting both pitchers to struggle here. But I don't know about that, really. Like, I think Baltimore actually is probably the way to look at that game because I think nobody's going to look at Baltimore and be like, I want to lay a price like -200 on them. But you might be right. I mean, that price is crazy. 79% of tickets are on Baltimore, though, and 65% of the cash coming in on the White Sox. So it looks like the cash percentage is coming back in on the White Sox. I would not want anything to do with the White Sox in a letdown spot with a pitcher like Burke pitching, though. So Eflin is actually the better and more proven of those 2 pitchers. A's in Toronto. They played yesterday, and it was a 12-0 Toronto win. So could get a little bit of an angry A's team here, wanting to bounce back from that really hideous loss. But the way that I probably would prefer to play this is actually probably the under in this game. Jeffrey Springs is pitching for the A's, and he's actually been fairly good. 3.97 ERA, 1.22 whip, and he's actually been way better on the road. Well, it's not that surprising because Oakland, or the A's home stadium in that Sacramento AAA stadium, is very, very unfriendly to pitchers. So it's not that much of a surprise. Springs has been way better on the road, which is where he's pitching today. 5.88 ERA at home and 2.45 on the road. So significant home road splits, kind of in favor of Springs here. And he's actually been pretty good against Toronto in the past as well. 56 at bats, 17-3 strikeout walk ratio. He's held him to a 214 average, 611 OPS. So Springs looks like a decent play here to start looking towards an under here, because he is up against Chris Bassett. Bassett, 3.38 ERA, 1.32 whip. His whip is getting a little bit too high. He did have a bad start last time out. So does that mean he's coming out of form? I don't know, because he's been pretty good otherwise this month with a 24-6 strikeout walk ratio. That's pretty good. He's allowed too many hits, though, well over one per inning, but a lot of it was that last start against Tampa Bay. So do we chalk that up to just a bad start, or do we think that he's coming out of form here? I mean, that's what you have to try to gauge. He's facing the A's here, and he has done well against them in the past in 40 at-bats, 225 average, 545 OPS. So I do think both starters do have a little bit of an edge here. And Springs, as far as current form, 20-7 strikeout walk ratio this month. Hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start this month, and 2.05 ERA. So he actually has been pretty good this month. So I think the starting pitchers both have a decent matchup here. But the bullpen usage was pretty high yesterday, I think, especially on Oakland's side or the A's side, because Lopez, after that inexplicable, awesome start that he had, which I talked about that yesterday. I'm like, what do we expect out of him? I don't really know. He was terrible yesterday. So the A's had to go to their bullpen really early, and the A's bullpen is terrible anyway. So I would not want any part of the A's bullpen and playing it under here. So I think the way to play this game is under in the first 5 innings if I was going to make a play on this game, which I don't quite want to do it, but that is the way that I would lean in that one. It looks like the money has come in on the over a little bit, driving it up from 8 to 8.5. That's on the full game, though. 92% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the over. So the over is pretty public, though, especially after a 12-run output last night. So we'll see what happens in that game. Anaheim is starting a road trip going to Cleveland. They're coming off a pretty tough, close loss to the Yankees. I gave out Anaheim on the show as a money line kind of flyer there, and they didn't get there with it. They lost 1-0, unfortunately, and they would have covered the run line. Now they're headed to Cleveland. Cleveland is staying at home, and they're coming off a win over the Dodgers, though, so it could be a little bit of a letdown spot for Cleveland. We got Jose Soriano pitching for Anaheim. 3.73 ERA looks pretty good, but 1.53 whip is awful. He's putting more than 1.5 base runners on per inning. I mean, you cannot keep getting away with that. 21-15 strikeout walk ratio this month, despite having a 2.83 ERA. There's something wrong with Soriano, man. I mean, he's walking way too many guys. In the last 4 outings, he's walked 3 or more in every outing. That's not good, but he is actually significantly better on the road this year with a 5.92 home ERA, 337 opponent batting average, and on the road, 2.35 and 234 opponent batting average. So he is pitching on the road here. So might be a little bit of a better environment for him, even though he has been worse at night, and this is a night game, but he's been better on the road. Up against Cleveland, what do we got? I hate how when the new series starts, I have to keep switching the teams. Come on, ESPN. Against Cleveland, he has mediocre numbers, I guess, at best. In 35 at-bats, 257 average is pretty good, but an 864 OPS is kind of high, although a lot of it is because Jose Ramirez specifically does like all the damage to him, though. 4 for 10 with 3 home runs. So other than that, Cleveland's hitters haven't done that well against Soriano. Luis Ortiz is pitching for Cleveland. I don't think he's very good either. 4.73 ERA, 1.43 whip. I mean, that's not good. He walked 5 guys in his last outing. 23-12 strikeout walk ratio, 4.64 ERA this month. So his current form isn't very good either. His last outing, he walked more than he struck out. Not very good. Up against Anaheim, His numbers are, again, kind of mediocre. In 29 at-bats, 241 average is pretty good, but a fairly high 759 OPS. He's allowed 2 home runs to Ohapa and Soler. They each have a home run off him. So take from all of that what you will. I mean, that's a game I really want nothing to do with that game. I mean, both teams are kind of in tough spots, in my opinion, even though usually when you start a road trip, you are focused. But if you're coming off a series against the Yankees, like Anaheim is, it might be tough to totally focus. Neither starting pitcher is very good. And, again, they both have mediocre stats against the opponent. Colorado at the Mets. I mean, Colorado's actually coming off... they played pretty competitively, I guess I will say, against the Cubs. They didn't play too poorly against the Cubs. Now they're having to go face the Mets. The Mets are coming off a loss to the White Sox, which did end a win streak for them. But you lose to the White Sox like that at home, you might be a little bit angry and looking to bounce back here. But then if we look at the starting pitching matchup, Kyle Freeland is pitching for the Rockies. He has not been very good. 5.86 ERA, 1.68 whip. But he is at least serviceable on the road. I mean, Coors Field is just wrecking him, even though the Rockies supposedly get guys that do well in Coors Field, but that is not really the case, as Freeland has a 7.71 home ERA so far this year, 4.25 on the road, a little bit more manageable, so he has been better on the road, which is kind of obvious why, because Coors Field just wrecks pitchers. Against the Mets, he actually has done well in the past. In 82 at-bats, he's on to a 195 average, but a 636 OPS because he has a lot of few home runs in there. Nimmo has a home run, and Soto has 2 home runs off him, although Soto has not hit him well otherwise. 4 walks, though, for Soto. So Freeland actually hasn't done that bad against the Mets. David Peterson is pitching for the Mets. 2.79 ERA, 1.28 whip. I continue to say this can't keep happening, man. 2.45 ERA this month, but a 24-13 strikeout walk ratio. Again, he's walking way too many guys. He's putting way too many men on base. He can't keep getting away with it, man. It's just the thing is, Peterson is an extreme ground ball pitcher, and that's how he keeps doing this. He has way more ground balls allowed than fly balls. That's how these guys that walk too many guys get away with it, because these guys are constantly hitting it into the ground. They're inducing double plays. You know, it's ridiculous. I still don't think it's totally sustainable, but that's kind of the way that you can identify pitchers whose whips look too high, but they keep consistently putting up an ERA that's lower than you would think it would be based on the whip. I still think his ERA should be higher than this. It will probably get higher, but the way you identify that is, oh, this guy's inducing a ton of ground balls. So that's what Peterson does. He's coming off 2 pretty good starts, really, even though he walked too many guys yet again against the Yankees and LA. I mean, those are not easy opponents to face, and he's still done well against them. He hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start. And that was one start against St. Louis, and if you throw that out, he's allowed 2 or fewer in every other start. But he actually does not have good numbers against the Colorado Rockies, surprisingly, because the Rockies' offense is terrible, especially on the road. But in 29 at-bats, he has only an 8.6 strikeout walk ratio against him, a 3.10 average allowed, and 8.77 OPS. So Peterson actually has not done well against the Rockies, and you're laying way too much of a price with the Mets, although it has dropped from minus 350 to minus 320. Do not play the money line, folks. 82% of tickets, 83% of the cash, so it looks like the cash percentage is slightly on the Mets, but you know they're going to be public. I mean, if you really want to try to play the Mets, I mean, I don't even know if I would, to be honest. I mean, I don't think I would. I mean, there are run line options, obviously, but in this game, I mean, like I just showed you, Freeland actually might have the better of the matchup against Peterson based on the matchup numbers. The total is like surprisingly low at 7.5 because Colorado can't hit, but they do hit Peterson a little bit better, and Freeland obviously is liable to be bad in any given start. So I'm not sure that I agree with the total being that low either. So that game, I don't want to touch that game at all. And again, the Mets could be a little bit angry after that really ugly loss, though. San Francisco at Miami. Miami's returning home from a road trip that took them to the West Coast, so it's typically not a good spot for a team when they return home from a road trip, especially cross-country. You have travel involved. You're changing time zones. You got to get back to your family life, so it's really not a good spot for Miami. Spot is better for San Francisco. I mean, they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. They just got, and actually they've lost 5 of their last 7 as well. They just got swept by the Tigers. So I think getting out of there, I mean, every game was close as well. I think getting out of there and starting a new series for San Francisco is probably a positive, even though it's a third straight road series that they're starting. I think it's probably more of a positive for San Francisco here. It's less of a time zone shift as well. I think moving over one time zone here to go down to Miami. So San Francisco does have the scheduling edge here. They're obviously the way better team, but you're laying a price for them on the road. They're up from minus 150 to minus 166, but could be a false move because we see San Francisco public, which makes sense because they're the team with the way better record. They are the better team. 72% of tickets on them, but 58% of the cash coming back on the other side on Miami. So the money looks like at this price, it is coming back and grabbing Miami as an underdog. Now, I think the situation sets up pretty well for San Francisco here. And they got Kyle Harrison pitching, and he's decent. He's got a 3.86 ERA this year and 1.07 whip, but he's only made 1 start so far. It was decent. He only went 5 innings. They didn't want to overextend him. 4 innings, excuse me. They didn't want to overextend him. He gave up 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks. Was a pretty good sign, though. Pretty good ratio there. I mean, he's been okay, I guess. I mean, throughout his career so far, San Francisco, 4.44 ERA and 1.29 whip, those numbers are very mediocre, but he's been serviceable so far as a starter, and I think he does have some room to improve. And Miami, I don't think has ever seen him before, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, they have, excuse me. They have 5 at-bats against him. Just Fortes and Lopez have both seen him before, and they're 1 for 5 off him with a strikeout. So not a whole lot to see there. 200 average, 400 OPS. So Harrison may have a decent matchup here. I mean, it's not a tough offense that he's facing here in Miami. Cal Quantrill, on the other hand, not a very good pitcher, not having a good season here. 6.09 ERA, 1.49 whip for Miami here. This month, he's actually been a little bit better. 3.06 ERA, 15-5 strikeout walk ratio, not too bad. Hasn't been going deep into games, though, so they've kind of just been letting him go a little bit and then kind of taking him out of the game. I don't know why they took him out so early in the previous game, though. Maybe there was a rain delay. I don't know what the deal was with that. He's not a guy that's going to come in and give you a lot of innings, though. And overall, he's still putting way too many men on base. This season. And against San Francisco, though, he actually doesn't have bad numbers in 54 at-bats. The strikeout walk ratio is not good, 11-8, although 5 of the walks are from Yaz. 204 average allowed, 566 OPS. So I actually don't really want to fade Miami here with Quantrill having good numbers, but you do expect that Quantrill is probably going to be out of the game somewhere around the 5th inning. It seems like it's probably going to be the case. Of course, both teams have full bullpen availability here because neither team played yesterday. So something to take into account here with the bullpens. A lot of these teams didn't play yesterday, so the full bullpen availability tends to help out with like unders and stuff like that. San Francisco has a significantly better bullpen than Miami. So with all those arms being available, if this thing gets into the bullpens and it's close, San Francisco does have the edge as far as that's concerned as well. So the situation lines up for San Francisco. They are the better team. It's just the starting pitching matchup, I think, is a little bit in question, even though I do think Harrison is still better than Quantrill. But the money kind of looks against it, too, so we'll stay away. Boston, Atlanta. This is another one of those where Atlanta played 2 games yesterday, so Atlanta not really in a good spot here. Boston coming out of a bad series where they just got swept by the Brewers, so they're probably good to have a day off, change locations, try to break that momentum. The situation sets up very positively for Boston. My Red Sox, even though the Red Sox suck and they continue to suck, the Red Sox just seem to have no heart, dude. Like, they just don't have that winning instinct. Their starting pitching rotation is a disaster. Their bullpen's not good. Their hitting hasn't really been that good. I don't know what to tell you, man. And they have some really talented minor league players, too, which they're going to, like, the only thing they can really do is start building around these young guys and try to do it, and they need to get some better pitching, but that hasn't happened yet, and they don't really have any leadership, man. I think the Cora, not a good manager. I mean, now I'm ranting about the Red Sox, but they need some, like, veteran leadership in the clubhouse, which should really be, like, a guy like Devers, who's been there for a while. He won a World Series when he was young with the team, but he just seems like he's just out for himself, doesn't want to, like, do what's best for the team, so it's just a bad bad situation for the Red Sox, but this specific situation in this game is bad for Atlanta, again, because they played 2 games yesterday. Red Sox were off. Red Sox trying to bounce back here, and this is actually a quick revenge spot against the natural rival of the Red Sox, the Atlanta Braves, who were the Boston Braves, 80 years ago. So that makes it a rivalry, right? Actually, probably even more than 80 years ago. It is a revenge spot because the Red Sox lost the series at home. They lost 2 out of 3 games, I think, at home to Atlanta. So the Red Sox might be a little bit more focused here for that reason. But Atlanta, they are kind of flying a little bit under the radar still, I think, because their record doesn't look that good. But they're better than the record indicates. Again, they started off the season 0-7. Acuna was out for most of the season. He just came back. So Atlanta is better than what their record looks. Starting pitching-wise here, Giolito is pitching for the Red Sox. He's not very good. 5.27 ERA, 1.43 whip. But he did just have a good start at home for the first time because his other 2 starts at Fenway, including the one against Atlanta, were terrible. He gave up 6 runs against Atlanta, but now it's a situation where both teams have actually just seen these starting pitchers. Both of these starting pitchers pitched in that previous series, so both lineups are recently familiar with the opposing pitchers. That means both pitchers could potentially do a little bit worse. Maybe Giolito will actually find something to do a little bit better here because he did pitch better in his last game. He's been way better on the road so far. Even with that good start, he still has a 7.36 home ERA so far this year, but 2.84 on the road. So he has been better on the road. He's been terrible at night, though, and this is a night game. Up against the Atlanta Braves, his numbers are not good, though, obviously. He was not good in that previous game. 64 at-bats. He's allowed 8 home runs. Olsen is 7 for 13 off him with 4 home runs. That's that's pretty difficult to believe. And 2 walks. So if you want player prop options there, Matt Olsen, Rex Giolito. Overall, Giolito's allowed a 375 average and 1,217 OPS to the Braves. That's not good. Grant Holmes, on the other hand, as I pointed out, his last start, he's actually a lot better at home right now. 2.36 home ERA and 5.55 on the road. He's a bit worse at night too, though. And again, the Red Sox did just see him a couple starts ago. He did well in that start, 6 innings, allowing only 2 runs. But he did walk 4 guys, so his walk number was way elevated. But other than that, he's got his walk numbers way down, actually, in the month of May. 29-9 strikeout walk ratio, 2.93 ERA. So Holmes is actually in pretty good form right now. And on the season, his numbers are good. 3.68 ERA, 1.16 whip. Good numbers overall in the season. And against the Red Sox, including that last start, he has good numbers against them as well. 20 at-bats, 150 average, 611 OPS. So the Red Sox have not hit Holmes very well. So that's the problem here that I have with this game is that even though, yes, the Red Sox have the edge here, if this game is close and it gets to the bullpens, same thing kind of goes for Philadelphia here, although Milwaukee's bullpen is really bad, probably worse than the Red Sox. But if those games with Philadelphia and Atlanta, both having played 2 games yesterday, if they get to the bullpens, their bullpens are not rested. So it should be an advantage later in the game to the teams that didn't play yesterday. But I think the starting pitching matchup, especially here, is just, that's a matchup I would not want to get involved in with the Red Sox. And Giolito is just, he's been too bad. He's too bad against Atlanta. Holmes is better than he is, and Holmes is good at home. Although Giolito, again, is better on the road. Holmes also has good numbers against the Red Sox, so I just don't want to do it. Next up, I'll finally give you a play, and I think this total is way too high in St. Louis, Texas, even though I know total is usually high for a reason. But I'm going to say under 9 is the right way to play this game. I like the starting pitching matchup here. The total looks like it's gone up from 8.5 juice to the under to 8.5. I'm pretty sure there are 9s out there. You have to pay a little bit, but I saw like a minus 115 on the under 9. If you can get under 9 at about minus 120 or better, that's the way that I would look in this game because, again, 9 is a key number in baseball. As we were seeing yesterday with that 5-4 game with the over that I gave out yesterday with Atlanta, Philadelphia, but that was an over 8.5. So that was that was nice there. But that game was 4-4, and you know there has to be another run to break the tie. So that 9 is a key number. So you want to get on the right side of the 9. So under 9, if it lands on 9, it'll at least push. Now, St. Louis and Texas, number one, neither team played yesterday. So both bullpens are readily available here. So that's good. So I like that. Texas's bullpen is pretty good. St. Louis's bullpen not as good. But Texas's offense really has not done that well. So that's kind of where we're going here with this, where it seems like both bullpens could kind of do well here because both bullpens, the managers are going to be able to use whichever relievers they want to bring out, mix and match. After the day off yesterday, it is an under-conducive situation when both teams were off. Texas bullpen is also good anyway. Like I said, neither offense really lights it up that much. Liberatore is pitching for St. Louis, and he's probably their best starter, actually, at this point. He might be better than Sonny Gray. I mean, he's only 25, and he's really starting to become a great pitcher, to be honest. 2.73 ERA, 1.01 whip. This month, no different. 23-6 strikeout walk ratio, 2.22 ERA. He's been very, very good recently. Hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any start this month. Granted, one of them was a shortened start at Cincinnati, but other than that, he's gone 7, 6, and 7 innings in 3 out of the other 4. Made it past 5 innings in the other start against Philadelphia, but he's just been good overall, man. And yeah, I know he's been a little bit more vulnerable on the road. I understand he's on the road here, but he is facing a kind of weak Texas lineup here. Still 3.95 ERA on the road really isn't that bad, so I'm not going to be totally dissuaded by that. And on the road, he has faced some more difficult offenses like the Mets, Cincinnati. That's a tough hitter environment there. That's a good environment for hitters. And Philadelphia on the road. So he has not faced very easy opponents on the road. Texas is a step down from those teams. And against Texas, 15 at-bats. He's allowed a 267 average, 686 OPS. So those numbers are on, I think, kind of the right side of the Mendoza line. And a lot of that was when Liberatore was still kind of finding himself, so I'm not that concerned about it. Liberatore is a lot better now than he was when these numbers were posted, so I think he is good to go in this game. He's just been really, really good right now, and he's taken another step down in class because he just faced Arizona, who is a much better offense than Texas as well, and he did really well in that start. So I like Liberatore here. Jack Leiter, on the other hand, yes, there are concerns with his walk numbers for sure. 17-16 strikeout walk ratio this month, not good. Last start, he walked 5 guys against the White Sox, but his stuff is good enough that he actually got out of that with only 2 earned runs. So his last 4 starts, he's allowed 4 or fewer earned runs in all of them, and the 4 was in a tough place to pitch in Fenway. So take from all that what you will. I mean, he is a little bit of a hard-to-read pitcher here. I think he has good stuff, but he's just too wild right now. 5.2 ERA this month doesn't look that great. Overall, 4.17 ERA, though, 1.24 whip. And again, his last 4 starts or so really have been an improvement. So I think he is starting to kind of find form here. And St. Louis has never seen him before. So I like that, actually. So when you get a young pitcher like this who hasn't been seen before by the opposing hitters, that usually tends to be a little bit of an advantage for that pitcher. If they're a young pitcher that has pretty decent stuff, which I still think Leiter does. And if he starts getting into a little bit of trouble, the fact that the entire bullpen is available, that can help Texas as well, and their bullpen is good. So I like the under in that game. And again, there's not really much of a market read there. The money has come way in on Liberatore on St. Louis there. I mean, he is the better of the 2 pitchers. Looks like Texas is listed as undecided. So I would say make sure that it is going to be Leiter starting, though, because if it isn't, just say listed starters must start, choosing Liberatore and Leiter, because if it's not that exact matchup, then I think we could just throw that one out and not have a play there. Next up, Detroit, Kansas City. I'm going to go against the grain here and give you a play on Kansas City. I think Detroit, again, I think that they have kind of started the season looking a little bit better than they actually are. I think this is a decent spot to play Kansas City. You know you're going to get a very public Detroit team here, so you can fade the public with this. They got 80% of tickets, 93% of the cash coming in on them, so the money is coming in on Detroit. I don't really agree with that, but they are still public, so at least you're fading the public here, even though it does look like the cash might be coming in on them a little bit. They're up from minus 107 to minus 116 here, but when I see that there might be a matchup edge in baseball for a home team that's at an underdog price, I tend to kind of look that way, and that's what I'm going to do here, man. I think Detroit, they could be in a little bit of a letdown spot, feeling pretty high on themselves right now. They won 4 games in a row. They just swept the Giants, who had a really good record to start the season. They're probably feeling pretty good about themselves right now. Detroit's sitting well atop the division right now. Kansas City actually has fallen back to 4th place in the division, but really this division has 4 teams that are all kind of fighting there, that are all actually pretty decent. The only team that isn't is the White Sox, obviously. So Kansas City, I mean, they had a real hot streak not too long ago as well. Kansas City is a good team pitching-wise. Their offense is just a little bit iffy, but that's where kind of this matchup comes in here. As we're going to have both bullpens available here, as both teams are off yesterday, but I actually probably prefer Kansas City's bullpen to Detroit's bullpen. Detroit's is decent. I know they do a lot of bullpen games, but I think Kansas City's is a little bit better. Casey Mize is pitching for Detroit, and he's got a 2.45 ERA, 1.01 whip. Very good numbers this year. Yes, that's true. Pretty good this month, too, with an 18-3 strikeout walk ratio, 3 ERA. Yeah, that's all pretty good. But Mize, I mean, there are some reasons to think he might be a little bit vulnerable here. He's been better at home, 1.54 ERA at home, 3.33 on the road. So, I mean, still not bad, but he's been a little bit more hittable on the road. You look at his career stats, they're nowhere close to what he's doing so far this year. So it's like, did he all of a sudden just become significantly better? Does that make any sense? Or should we take his previous stats more into account here? With last year, he had a 4.49 ERA, 1.47 whip for Detroit, which is not very good. So I think it's somewhere in the middle, man. I mean, maybe he is better this year, but when you're 28, you don't like turn into like an ace all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So I expect his numbers are probably going to regress a bit and land somewhere in the middle there. And up against Kansas City in the past, his numbers have not been good. In 87 at-bats, they have a lot of at-bats against them. 9-5 strikeout walk ratio, 356 average, 978 OPS. So Mize has not done well in the past against them. Witt Jr.'s 5 for 11 with a home run, 3 walks off him. Perez, even though I know he's older now, is 12 for 28 with a home run off him and a walk. So some damage there. Michael Garcia, 4 for 8 off him with a triple. So yeah, Mize does not have good numbers there against Detroit. And then you got Seth Lugo on the other side, who we've expected some kind of regression out of him too, but his numbers have been more consistent. Like last year, he had a 3 ERA and 1.09 whip, and this year it's 3.02 ERA and 1.09 whip. So his numbers are exactly the same, which is crazy. But his numbers have been very similar for the last few years, including a couple of years not even on Kansas City. So he's the more consistent pitcher, man, and he's coming back from the DL. And I know I've gotten caught playing some pitchers coming back from the DL, because the one thing you have to worry about is, are they going to go the full distance in the game, or are they going to get taken out early? That's the one thing you got to worry about. But I like veteran pitchers like Lugo coming back from the DL because they're used to it. They usually are pumped up to get back in the game. They want to throw a good game here. So I do like all that. And if he does exit a little bit early, we have rested bullpens, and I don't hate Kansas City's bullpen, like I said. So that's not that bad. Lugo, by the way, his splits have been more home-oriented with a 2.41 ERA at home, 4.19 on the road. And he's actually been better at night, too, and we're getting a night game here, so that's all good. So the splits line up nicely for Lugo. He was pitching well before he got hurt. In the month of May, he has a 13-3 strikeout walk ratio, so he really hasn't even had that long of a time off. He's been off for a couple weeks, 2.89 ERA in the month. Granted, he did face Tampa Bay and the White Sox, but he did okay against the Red Sox, too, just giving up 2 home runs. But other than that, he completely held them down, too. So Lugo, I mean, he's been good all year, basically. One start at the Yankees, he gave up 4 earned runs, which isn't even that bad. And other than that, he's allowed 3 or fewer in all of his other starts. So there isn't a whole lot to dislike about Lugo. I mean, he's consistently doing this. And against Detroit, his numbers are good, and a big 104 at-bat sample size. 27-11 strikeout walk ratio is okay, but he's held him to a 212 average and 662 OPS, so pretty low numbers there. He has allowed 4 home runs to them, but that's not that bad either. So Lugo has the way better matchup numbers as well. So we're going to fade the public, and we're going to take Kansas City as the home dog there. All right, let's keep going. Almost done. Tampa Bay at Houston. Tampa Bay destroyed Houston yesterday. These teams played yesterday, and Houston lost 13-3. We can see here Lance McCullers is now hiring security. Dude, fans have to stop this, man. Like I've already been saying, if you're fans of the Astros and you're going to be like threatening McCullers' life and his family's life, I mean, that is beyond not cool, obviously. I mean, I'm a free speech guy. I mean, obviously, you know who I am. I think you should be able to say whatever the fuck you want pretty much, but you're not allowed to threaten people's lives, especially when they haven't done anything to you. McCullers got, like, I think he won at least one World Series for you. He's been a good pitcher for Houston. He has one really, really rough start trying to come back from, he's been out of the league for multiple years, man. It's like, you got to give this guy a break. It's crazy, and he's starting to pitch better now, too. He had a good start in his last outing, but McCullers is not pitching today, but I'm just pointing that out. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on there. This Houston fan base, I mean, they gotta get their act together, man. But this looks like it's a decent bounce back spot for Houston here because they got wrecked yesterday. They're facing Ryan Pepio, who I think is a decent pitcher, 3.55 ERA, 1.23 WHIP, not bad. He's been pitching pretty well this month with a 2.76 ERA. 18-7 strikeout walk ratio. It's a pretty low strikeout rate. He's not striking out that many guys, but he's coming off a nice 7-inning shutout performance against Toronto. Really nice performance there from Pepio. I think he's in pretty good form right now. And against the Astros, however, I should say, his numbers are not that good in 36 at-bats. 7-1 strikeout walk ratio is good, but 333 average, 907 OPS. So Pepio actually has not done well against the Astros in the past. And actually, I haven't looked at his splits. What are his splits this year? Let me see. He has a 3.64 home ERA, 3.31 road ERA, so not really a whole lot to see there. He has been worse at night, though, with an ERA in the 4s, and this is a night game. He's up against Framber Valdez, who is starting to pitch really well again. I mean, he's a pretty consistent pitcher, although he usually walks too many guys, but his numbers are pretty good this year. 3.39 ERA, 1.14 WHIP. That's good. He's in good form right now, other than the fact that he walked 4 guys in that last outing. But, I mean, if you kind of overlook that a little bit, this month he has a 33-10 strikeout walk ratio, 2.73 ERA. He's gotten at least 5 innings in every start. He's gotten at least 6 in the last 4 starts, allowing 1 earned run in each of 3 of those 4 starts and 3 earned runs against Texas. He's been good in those starts. So Valdez is in good form. His numbers, however, against Tampa are actually really bad. In 44 at-bats, 13-9 strikeout walk ratio. Diaz has 5 walks off of him. A 341 average of 955 OPS. So Valdez actually doesn't do well against them either. And because both teams played yesterday and some of the bullpen usage happened yesterday, even though both bullpens are pretty good, but because they both got used a little bit yesterday and both pitchers have good numbers, and they're in fairly good form right now, but their matchup numbers against these specific lineups are actually so bad. This might actually be kind of a sneaky overplay, and the number has gone up from 7.5 to 8. 85% of tickets on the over, 99% of the cash on the over. So that is actually probably the way I would look, is to the over there. And a slight lean to Houston to bounce back from that ugly performance yesterday, too. They're up from -150 to -161 with 63% of the tickets and 71% of the cash. Excuse me. So the market read looks like it's on over and Houston, and I don't disagree with those. Pittsburgh at San Diego. San Diego is staying at home after losing to the Marlins, which is... They should be in a little bit of a bounce back spot there. Whoops, I just clicked on Seattle, excuse me. San Diego, but they just lost to the Marlins at home, which broke up their win streak. But I think San Diego probably in a little bit of a bounce back mode there. Pittsburgh coming in off of a nice win over the Diamondbacks, beating them 10-1, winning the series against the Diamondbacks. Winning 2 series in a row, no, splitting the previous series, but still... having a couple of series where they won 2 games in a row. That is not like this Pittsburgh Pirates team right now. Coming off their best offensive output of the year, probably. Going out on the road, usually you are focused when you go out on the road. I don't really think it's a letdown spot for Pittsburgh because, or actually they're already on the road, right? They were just in Arizona. Yeah, they were. So it's not even that much travel going from Arizona to San Diego. I don't know if they're really going to be in a letdown spot here because San Diego's another good team. So Pittsburgh still might be focused coming into this. Mitch Keller is on the mound for Pittsburgh, 3.66 ERA, pretty good. 1.3 WHIP is a little bit high, but he's been really good this month. 3.3 ERA, 29 to 6 strikeout walk ratio. He's been really good this month. Last 3 starts, not allowing any more than 2 earned runs in any of them, going at least 6 innings in all 3. Going at least 6 in his last 4 starts, allowing 3 or fewer earned runs in all of them. So Keller actually in good form right now, and against the D-backs, he actually has good numbers. In 77 career at-bats, he's held to a 182 average, 566 OPS. So Keller actually looks like he has a decent matchup here. And then on the other side, we got Nick Pivetta pitching. Or no, wait, I'm looking at the... What am I saying? God damn it, I'm looking at the Diamondbacks. No. Why do I keep doing that? I apologize. We need to see Keller's numbers against San Diego. Man, I might have screwed this up. Yeah, against San Diego, his numbers aren't quite as good. All right, my mistake. In 88 at-bats, 273 average, 799 OPS. That sucks for Pittsburgh, actually, that he didn't pitch against the D-backs, although they did win that series anyway. All right, so his numbers against San Diego are a little bit less good. So Keller, he is in good form right now, though. And his numbers are better on the road with a 4.15 home ERA and 2.88 on the road. So he's actually been better on the road. So Keller's splits look okay in this game. Nick Pivetta, I mean, he's been pitching really well for San Diego all season. Of course, he leaves the Red Sox and he improves. 2.72 ERA, 1.01 whip. I was saying the Red Sox, they just could not afford to pay him the money that they were going to pay him, which I still agree with that, but the Red Sox starting pitching is so bad. Maybe they should have just signed him, even though I was saying they shouldn't have at the time. But Pivetta doing really well this year, 1.01 whip, 2.72 ERA. This month, though, he's been a little bit shakier with a 24 to 10 strikeout walk ratio. That is a really high walk rate, and 4.29 ERA. So he is starting to regress a little bit, although it was really one bad start at Coors Field. So if you throw that start out, he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start the entire season. So I don't know if there's a whole lot to really take away from that. And up against a pretty bad Pittsburgh offense here, his numbers are good against them. In 57 at-bats, 158 average, 536 OPS. So Pivetta does still have the upper hand there. So I'm not going to do anything with that game. Originally, I was thinking an under kind of made sense in that game, but I was accidentally looking at Mitch Keller's numbers against the Diamondbacks. His numbers aren't quite as good against the Padres. I don't even see the game here. Where the hell's the game? There it is. Padres, they are public, 85% of the tickets, 95% of the cash on them, though. Line's sitting right at around minus 190, minus 189, so we'll see. It does look like the under is still getting traction, though, even with Keller not having terrific numbers against San Diego. 80% of the tickets on the over and only 54% of the cash on the over. And we are looking at 2 teams that didn't play yesterday. San Diego does have a pretty good bullpen. So 2 rested bullpens, that does help for the under as well. And the total is this low for a reason. Expecting at least Pivetta to have a really good outing in this one. So maybe the way to play that is actually Pittsburgh's team total under. But you probably have to go under like 2.5 in that one. But they just scored 10 or 11 runs or whatever. And they don't do well against Pivetta at all. And it's a pitcher-friendly park. So Pittsburgh under the team total actually might be the way to look in that game. All right, let's keep going. Let's finish this off. Washington is at Arizona, so that's where Arizona's at. These teams actually played yesterday, I believe. Arizona. No, my mistake. Washington played yesterday into extra innings, and Arizona didn't play. My mistake. So it's a bad spot for Washington because they just played yesterday in Seattle, went into extra innings. They beat Seattle. They actually won the series on the road, and now Washington coming into Arizona. Arizona had yesterday off, and Arizona's just staying at home. Off of that ugly loss to the Pirates that I just mentioned. So Arizona in a bit of a bounce back spot too. So it is a pretty positive spot for Arizona here. Jake Irvin is pitching for Washington though, and he's been one of their best starters. 3.42 ERA, 1.1 whip, and it seems like he never gets talked about. He's in good form this month with a 2.45 ERA, although 14 to 8 strikeout walk ratio, not that great, but he just doesn't strike a lot of guys out. So do with that what you will, but he has struck out 13 in the last 3 games. Or last two starts. So there is maybe something to be said about that I think his last 2 starts indicate that he is in pretty good form with a 13 to 3 strikeout walk ratio. He went at least 6 1/3 in both starts. That's pretty good. Up against Arizona, though, his numbers are not very good. In 57 at-bats, Arizona's got a good offense. 10 to 6 strikeout walk ratio, not good. 316 average allowed. 952 OPS. So Jake Irvin, not as good against Arizona, so Does look like a decent spot to play Arizona in the bounce back, even though Irvin generally has been pitching pretty well. Merrill Kelly here, 3.52 ERA, 1.02 whip. He's been pitching well, man. He's a savvy veteran pitcher. He's got a 33-4 strikeout walk ratio this month and a 2.59 ERA. He is definitely in good form. Kelly up against this Washington lineup that isn't really that good, though, actually has been quite awful. In 37 at-bats, he's allowed 3 home runs, although 2 of them are Bell. Bell 4 for 8 with 2 home runs off him and 2 walks, so player prop potential there. Rosario is actually 5 for 6 off him as well with all singles and an RBI. But Merrill Kelly has allowed a 432 average and 1,232 OPS to Washington, so I don't love that either. So I think the way that I would actually probably play this game actually is probably the over, even though I do think it is a good bounce back spot for Arizona. You could look to lay the run line with Arizona. The cash is coming in at Arizona, so I don't disagree with that. Public, surprisingly, is kind of mixed on this. 50% of the tickets evenly split, but 89% of the cash on Arizona. I don't disagree with the Arizona side, like I just said. I think it is a good bounce back spot for them. But both of these bullpens are pretty bad, and Washington did use some of theirs yesterday. So, again, that makes it a bad spot for Washington, but it also helps out with the over here. And the total is up from 8.5 to 9. We have 89% of tickets, but 94% of the cash on the over. I think fewer people play totals, really. So I think even though the over is public, I think it is the right side on the total there, or the right way to look at the total. And the number's going up on the total. So over, if you can still get the over 9, is probably the preferred way of playing that. And I do still agree with Arizona. You probably have to play like a -1.5 run line on that if you like Arizona, but I don't hate that play either, even though, again, with the run line at home, you're dealing with, you do have to worry about the fact that your team, if they're already winning, they won't get the last at bat in the 9th inning. Minnesota and Seattle, I'm going to make a play on both of these last 2 games. I'm going to play Minnesota. I'm going to give you guys a play on Minnesota and an underdog price. And I know we're fading Brian Wu at home, and I know I almost never want to do that. Brian Wu, amazing pitcher, very good at home, but I think this spot is just a Minnesota spot, man. Seattle down from -150 to -136. They get 71% of tickets on them, but cash heavily on Minnesota. So we see some reverse line movement on a public Seattle team. 72% of the cash coming back on Minnesota. Now, part of the reason why I started looking this way is because, just like I said with Washington, Seattle played that game against Washington last night into extra innings, while Minnesota didn't even play yesterday. So Minnesota has an advantage off the bat because of that. So Seattle, their bullpen is a little bit more used after yesterday. Minnesota, their bullpen is rested now, which they really needed because they used their bullpen a bit in their last series. So now Minnesota's got a rested bullpen. They're the rested team coming in here, so I like that. It's a situational edge for Minnesota. So that's where we start here. That looks good. Yes, Seattle's going to be a little bit angry and maybe in a bounce back spot, but they kind of haven't been playing well recently. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. Shockingly, actually, the only game they won was the return home spot game, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, they've been embarrassed the last 2 games, getting outscored 18-3, but their offense just really kind of hasn't been playing well recently, except for that one game that they won. Offense has kind of been off the rails a little bit. In Minnesota, they're probably going to be in a bit of a bounce back spot too, as they're coming off losing series to the Rays. They just got shut out by the Rays in the last game. Yeah, their offense isn't playing that well right now either, but I think it's going to help them to just forget about that, just get out of there, even though I know they're traveling cross country here, but still, I think it might just help them to get the hell out of there. Zebby Matthews is pitching for Minnesota, and I know he hasn't been effective yet. 7.71 ERA, 2 whip, looks awful. I understand that. He's only made 2 starts, though, and he struck out 14 guys in 7 innings. So even though, yeah, he's walked too many guys, he's given up 4 walks, 10 hits. Yeah, I know. He's putting way too many guys on base. But he had a really rough start against Milwaukee. And then his last start, yeah, he threw too many pitches, but he went 4 innings, allowing 2 earned runs against Kansas City, and had a 9-1 strikeout walk ratio. So I think Zebby Matthews does absolutely have something. He has a real strikeout arm, it looks like. I like him, and I know he was highly touted as a prospect coming into last year, and he didn't do well last year either. He made 9 starts, had a horrific 6.69 ERA, 1.65 whip. I get all that. His strikeout walk ratio, however, was actually good last year, 43-11, so he was too hittable. He has things to correct, but I think he can, man, because a guy who can strike guys out at this rate, and a guy who's this young, they usually figure it out, in my opinion. I think this guy, he's got good stuff. He can figure it out, and Seattle has never seen him before. So I know it's a little bit of a wild card type of play here on this one, but Matthews, I think he could figure it out here. And Seattle's offense, not having seen him before and struggling right now, I think is not great. And they might be a little bit tired after going extra innings yesterday. So them having to face a pitcher that has really good strikeout stuff who they've never seen before, who I think is significantly better than his ERA makes him look, I think there is value getting Minnesota as the underdog here, even though I know Minnesota has not been as good on the road. They have been better at home. Mariners haven't been very good at home, though, so they're only one game above 500 at home. They've actually been a little bit better on the road. Brian Wu, though, I understand he's really, really good and really good at home. 2.4 ERA, 0.93 whip, but what we need in this game is for Matthews to battle Wu, get us into the bullpen situation, and then I think we have the advantage if that happens, if the game is at least close, getting into the bullpens. I think we have the bullpen edge and the rest edge there. So I think that's going to be the case here. Wu, I understand, having an excellent May, 30-1 strikeout walk ratio, 1.71 ERA. He was a little bit vulnerable in a couple of these games. At the A's, though, I mean, you could throw that one out because it's a tough environment for a pitcher to pitch in that A's stadium, but he did give up 10 hits in his last outing against Houston, and I understand that was also on the road. So he has been a little bit more vulnerable on the road. I get that, but he did give up 10 hits in 6 innings there. So Wu may be showing a little bit of, I was going to say a chink in his armor. Please forgive me. Oh, no. Pun not intended, people. No. But he's been really, really good at home. I mean, I actually love betting on Wu or giving out bets on Wu. He has a 0.93 ERA at home. Yeah, and he's been way better at night, too. Okay, I know. We're getting a home night game where Wu is usually untouchable. But Minnesota, even though their offense isn't that good, they're one of the few offenses that actually has had some success against Wu. They're actually 3 for 9 off him. 333 average, 667 OPS. I mean, the OPS is low. I understand it's a small sample size, but I think it's a spot play. I think it's a spot where the pitching matchup is way, way closer than it looks. I know it seems really dangerous to fade Wu, but I think the line is just, that's where the value is. You're fading the public to do this, so we're going to fade the public in that one. And then in the last game, we're going to be on the public, and I think this is a spot to play the Yankees, man. I just think it is. I don't see any way around it. You're actually getting a cheap price on the Yankees. They're actually down from -116 to -113, so you could probably find a better price on them. They're a little bit public with 58% of the tickets, but this is Yankees-Dodgers, man, so this is a big public matchup. I mean, both teams are public teams. 57% of the tickets on the Yankees now, but 72% of the cash. So I think the money might actually be agreeing with me on this one. I just think this is a mismatch, dude. I mean, neither team played yesterday. Okay, cool. Both bullpens are fairly good, so I don't think there's really an edge one way or the other. Bullpen-wise, I think the Yankees have a big edge here because this is the World Series revenge matchup, man. So the last time the Yankees played LA, they lost the World Series. So this is a huge game for the Yankees, man. So I think the revenge factor looms large in this one. I think the Yankees probably want this game a little bit more than the Dodgers do, even though I know the Dodgers are coming off a loss to Cleveland, but also the Dodgers are returning home from a road trip, so it's also a bad spot for the Dodgers in that regard, even though I know it's the Yankees, so how distracted can you really be? When you return home from a road trip, as I always say, usually it's a distraction spot because you have home life to get back to. You get a little bit distracted. You're changing time zones in this case, which isn't great. Yeah, I know they're not going to be totally distracted when they got the Yankees coming in. I get that. It's a huge matchup, but I just think it means more to the Yankees here. And I think we have a huge starting pitching edge with the Yankees with Max Fried on the mound. 1.29 ERA, 0.93 whip. Yeah, his numbers should get worse than that, but I mean, he's showing no signs of stopping right now. He's allowed 1 or fewer earned run in all but one start this month, in 4 out of the 5. And in the start where he didn't, he only allowed 2 earned runs. 34-7 strikeout walk ratio. He's only allowed more than 1 earned run twice this entire season. 3 times this entire season, and in all cases, it was 2 earned runs. He's got a 1.39 ERA in addition to that 34-7 strikeout walk ratio this month. All very good. And yes, he's stepping up in class kind of to face a really good Dodgers team. But his numbers against the Dodgers in 187 career at-bats, 55 to 16 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good. 203 average allowed and 630 OPS. So Fried has done pretty well at holding this Dodgers offense down, even though a couple of guys hit him pretty well. Rojas is 10 for 29 with a home run. Muncy 5 for 17 with a couple of home runs. Other than that, not a whole lot. Edman, actually, I guess 6 for 16. But other than that, not a lot of damage. Mookie Betts is 2 for 30 off of him with 9 strikeouts. Ohtani actually is 3 for 5, though, so that's pretty good as well. But a lot of these hitters don't do that well against Fried. So I think Fried could have another good performance here. And he's up against Tony Gonsolin, who is obviously the worst of the 2 starters here with a 4.68 ERA and 1.44 whip is just atrocious. He has an 8-7 strikeout walk ratio in the last 2 starts, allowing 4 earned runs in both. He's not gone more than 5 innings in any start this month. He only did it once to start the season against Miami, and it's all been downhill from there. He did okay with a 5-inning shutout against Arizona, but other than that, hasn't been very good for him. 19-12 strikeout walk ratio this month, 4.74 ERA this month. Not good. Gonsolin, he's just not a very good pitcher, man. And against the Yankees, Yankees obviously have a really good offense as well. 27 at-bats, only 5 of them have seen him before. Hey, Max Fried's 1 for 2 off him with a double. They should put Max Fried in the lineup. No, but whatever. Including him, it doesn't matter that much. 27 at-bats, 7-4 strikeout walk ratio is not very good. A 407 average allowed, 1,188 OPS. So Gonsolin, bad numbers there. I think you're getting a really cheap price. You're never going to find a price this cheap on the Yankees with Max Fried on the mound. I think they have the situational edge here. It's a revenge angle. It's a return home spot for the Dodgers. Fried is a significantly better pitcher than Gonsolin. It's got to be the Yankees in this game, man. So that's going to do it for me here. So the plays that I have given out on the show today are the under. Kind of big total of 9 in St. Louis, Texas in baseball. Couple of anti-public underdogs here, the Royals and Minnesota money lines, and the Yankees money line, which is not as anti-public, but still, I think it's slightly anti-public, because I think the public might still be thinking it's a close matchup here, thinking, the Dodgers at home, getting money looks a little bit tempting in what could be a close matchup. Take the shot, and although the public does know it's Max Fried, though, so we'll see what happens, man. That's going to do it. Tower Gang Toad on Twitter. My fundraiser is up, and I'm probably going to be closing it and taking it down later today, probably. GiveSendGo.com/Tower Gang Toad if you want to throw some last-minute support my way. I do still have a Venmo where you can tip me through Twitter, though, so you can do that as well if you want to keep it going. So thanks, guys, for the support there. Follow the Tower Game Podcast, patreon.com/Tower Game to support that, and get your Bohemian Grove tickets, assuming it's still happening, and come see us in late June in Central Florida. That's going to do it. Let's have a good day today, man. Let's kick off the weekend right. Peace.